All right. Next up for us this year is calculating volume. So we've done perimeter, which is just a distance. It's effectively just a line, right? Distance is a line. Then we get into area. Area is a 2D shape. It takes up space in 2 dimensions. Today we're going to be moving into volume, which is into 3D space, and it takes up space in all 3 dimensions. So volume is essentially that, is how much space it takes up. That's essentially the idea of volume. Historically, when we started thinking about volume, we were actually thinking about displacement, right? You could put things in water and it would move that much water, that kind of idea. It pushes the water out of the way, it takes up space. For our purposes this year, we're going to consider the volume of 2 types of objects. The first one is the easiest one, and that is prisms. So prisms basically are essentially, if you take a shape, like if I have a little square, that's a 2D shape, a square, right? Well, I'm going to like stretch that 2D square, stretch it into 3 dimensions. So both ends are still the exact same square. It's just now it's been stretched into 3 dimensions. That's the only real difference. And that's a terrible drawing. You're probably used to me being a terrible artist by now. That's okay. So what that means is we need to multiply its length and its width and its depth or height. It's called many different things. Now the area of the ends can change depending on the area of the shape. So to be general, we will call volume the area of the base. So whatever the 2 ends are that are connected, that have been stretched, that's the base. And we're going to multiply that by the height. Remember, we've got brackets. So brackets means multiply when the brackets touch. Now, I'm a lazy mathematician. I'm not going to want to write area of the base times height. So we're going to rewrite that as V for volume equals A with a little capital B. That tells me it's the area of the base. Some people like to write base, but I like just the B. I think the B is fine for my purposes. Times H. And that's our formula. So let's take a look. So this is a rectangular prism. And you can do a rectangular prism in many different ways. This is the one facing us, so I would naturally do that one as the base. But you don't have to. This could be the base. Or this one could be the base. It really doesn't matter. You can pick whichever one you want. For my example today, I'm going to do that one as the base. So let's label this as my base. So volume is equal to area of the base times height, which in this case, area of the base, it's a rectangle, so it's going to be length times width. 3 times 4. And then the height is going to be that dimension, which is 6. 4 times 6 is 24. So we have 72 centimeters. And now we have cubed. So a length is just centimeters and area is centimeters squared. When we have volume, it's going to be cubed. Centimeters times centimeters is centimeters squared. Centimeters squared times centimeters, centimeters cubed. Okay? Next one. This time we don't have options. This has to be our base. Because if we tried to say that this was our base, well, it would have to be stretched out and be the same on the other side, and that's not what's happening. It's not going straight, it's being sort of like a triangle shape. So we're not going to be able to do any other base except for the triangle. That's all right, that works just fine. So volume is equal to area of the base times the height. So area of a triangle is base times height over 2. So 5 times 6 over 2. Sorry about that. All times the height, which is how long our prism is effectively, times 20. So in this case, we're going to have 30 divided by 2 is 15. 15 times 20 is going to be 300, I think, unless my mental math is bad, which it is sometimes. And if it is, then you will know the right answer better than I do, which is fine. One more here. So again, this is sort of the direction that it's being stretched, that it's the same all the way down. So that means this is our base, because the other end will be that exact same base, and it's just been stretched vertically. So volume is equal to the area of the base times the height. Well, this time, area of the base is area of a circle, which is pi r squared. So pi, well, that's the diameter, is 20, which means the radius is half of that, which is 10. So pi times 10 squared is the area of our base, and then the height is 25, which I'm going to need a calculator for this one. Bear with me one moment. Scientific calculator. Pi times 10 squared times 25 gets me 7,853.98, which if we round to one decimal place, it's the same as rounding to nothing, so, or to the nearest whole number. So 7,584 centimeter cubed, essentially. So it is much, much bigger than our other ones. So that's it. It can get a little more complicated though, because we can have a situation like this. So what's going on here? Well, 10 is the top here. We've got 3, we've got 6, we've got 4, and 8 is going along there. Well, this is still a prism. We've got our base at the front here, and I can calculate the area of that base, no problem. But this time, let's do it separately. So in this case, area of the base, well, this one's a little complicated, isn't it? I can't really just do it with one calculation. We're going to need to chop this complex shape into 2. So let's chop along there. So area 1, area 2. So area 1 is equal to 10 times 3, which is 30 centimeters squared. Area 2 is 6 times 4, which is 24 centimeters squared. So the area of our base is going to be 30 plus 24 equals 54 centimeters squared. So we found the area of that part, and we found the area of this part, and we added those together to get the area of the entire T of the base. And then we can go back to our volume. Volume is equal to area of the base times the height, which in this case, the area of the base we found 54 centimeters squared. And our height, in this case more of like a depth, is 8 centimeters, which is 432. I really should have my calculator out and not be doing this off the top of my head. Let's double check. 432. Oh, it's a good night. So in a complex shape, you just need to figure out the individual pieces and add them together and get the area of the base and then sub it into your formula. So all we're doing compared to last day is multiplying by one more number. So pyramids have a base that can be any shape, but they don't go straight back forever. They go back until they meet at a point at the other end. So we'll have a base, square, rectangle, whatever, and then the other end is a point, and then all of these kind of go back to that one point, and that's called a pyramid. And it's been mathematically proven that the area of a pyramid is just exactly 1/3 the area of the prism that would be the same height. So we can calculate the height of a prism, which is area of the base times height, and then multiply it by 1/3 or divide by 3, and we get the area of a pyramid. So it's the exact same work as last time, we just have to divide it by 3. That's all. If we want to write it as a formula, so V now is going to be 1/3 area of the base times height. Maybe I'll move that over here. B is equal to 1/3 area of the base times height. So no problem, we've done that. So now we definitely only have one option for base. This is the base. One important thing to remember is height is just like with triangles. It has to be perpendicular to the base. So it has to be right from that bottom and then straight up to the top. It can't come from one of the corners. It can't come from a side. It has to be right in the middle to work nicely here. It has to be that distance straight up. It can't be on an angle. So this one here, we've got everything we need. There's our base, there's our height. Volume is equal to 1/3 area of the base times height, which is 1/3. The area of the base is a rectangle, so it's just 7 times 5 times the height, which is 12. What's that going to be? 35 times 4, 140 centimeters cubed. Let's double check that. 140. Perfect. Still on a roll. Next one over. Here's our base, the circle, and then we've got a height. Again, this one gave us the diameter, so the radius is going to be 15. So volume is equal to 1/3 area of the base times height. 1/3 area of the base is pi r squared. Pi times 15 squared times the height, which is 50. I'll work that out. 1/3 pi times 15 squared times 50. And we get, rounded to the nearest whole number, 11,781 centimeters cubed. So it's kind of the same formula. Calculate the area of the base and then the height. if you don't feel comfortable doing all of this in one step, feel free to do what we did with the complex one and do the area of the base first. You could just do area of the base is equal to pi times 15 squared. We'll work that out. Pi times 15 squared. Whoops. Which is 706.86. And then volume is equal to 1/3 area of the base times height, and then just sub in the 706.86 times 50. And you can do it that way. So you can do it in one step or in two. Either one is fine. Last practice problem here. A company that manufactures paper drinking cups offers two options. So one is a cylinder, and the other is a cone. Inverted cone just means the point's at the bottom because it's a drinking cup, right? It's open at the top. You've all seen those from little like water, little water. What are they called? Water coolers. That's what it is. So both of them have the same base and the same height. The volume of the cup is that. Determine the volume of the conical option. So this should be pretty easy then, because we know the cylinder. I always spell cylinder wrong. Cylinder is going to be 3 times bigger than the cone, right? So 1/3 of the cylinder is the same as the cone. So that means volume of the cone is going to be 1/3 the volume of the cylinder, because the cylinder is a prism and the cone is a pyramid, and pyramids are just 1/3 of the volume. So that makes this a really simple problem then. 1/3 times 238. That's not one I'm doing in my head, not tonight anyway. 238 divided by 3 is 79.3 centimeters cubed. It says round to the nearest tenth, and there's the nearest tenth. So that's it for today. There'll be practice problems to go with it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.